The rain started before I even turned onto their street. Not heavy, just steady, quiet. The kind that makes the road shine under streetlights and everything feel darker than it should. There was a smell in the air too. Wet pavement, old wood, something faint underneath it I couldn't place. Their house sat at the end of a small cul-de-sac. Only one porch light was on. It flickered once as I pulled into the driveway. I remember sitting there for a second, watching it, feeling like I should leave. I didn't. I grabbed my bag and ran through the rain to the front door. The mom opened it before I knocked. She looked tired. Not normal tired. Something else. Her eyes kept drifting past me, like she was listening for something inside the house. "Thank you for coming," she said quickly. "He's already in bed." She didn't move right away, just stood there for a second, like she was deciding something. Then she stepped aside. "His name's Tyler. He's been having trouble sleeping." I asked what kind of trouble. She hesitated, then said quietly, "He thinks there's something under his bed." She gave a small laugh after saying it. It didn't feel real. The dad called from the car. She grabbed her keys and walked past me, then added, "Just don't encourage it." The door shut behind them. And just like that, the house felt different, too quiet, not calm, not peaceful, just quiet in a way that feels like something is waiting. I stood there listening, rain tapping the windows, the low hum of the refrigerator somewhere deeper in the house. Then, a soft sound from upstairs, not loud, not clear, just enough to make the hair on the back of my neck stand up. You know that feeling? When your body reacts before your brain catches up? That. Before we go any further, drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. I read them, every single one. And if you like real horror stories like this, hit subscribe, because these only get worse. All right, back to the story. I walked upstairs slowly. Each step felt louder than it should. Tyler's room was at the end of the hallway. A faint nightlight glowed under the door. I knocked softly. "Tyler." No answer. I pushed the door open. He was sitting upright in bed, blanket pulled up to his chin, staring at the floor beside him, not moving, not blinking, just staring. "Hey," I said quietly. "You okay?" He didn't look at me. "You came," he said. Something about the way he said it made my stomach drop. "Yeah," I said. "Your mom asked me to watch you tonight." He shook his head slowly. "No, you came because it's worse tonight." I stepped further into the room. It felt colder in there than the rest of the house. "Worse how?" I asked. He raised one hand and pointed. Not under the bed, just beside it. "It's closer," he said. I looked down. Nothing, just carpet, a couple toys, empty. "There's nothing there," I said. He finally turned his head and looked at me, and I wish he hadn't, because he wasn't scared. He was certain. "You're not supposed to stand that close," he said. My chest tightened. "Why?" He swallowed. "Because it can reach you now." Something shifted under the bed, soft, slow, like fabric brushing wood. I froze. "Did you hear that?" I whispered. He nodded. "It knows you're here." Every instinct in my body told me to grab him and leave, but I didn't. I crouched down. "Hey, there's nothing under your bed. I'll show you, okay?" His hand shot out and grabbed my wrist. Hard. "Don't." Too late. I leaned down slowly, lowering my head toward the edge of the bed. The darkness underneath swallowed the light. At first, nothing. Just black. Then, something moved. Not toward me. Away. Like it was pulling itself deeper into the shadows. I jerked back and hit my head on the bed frame. "What was that?" I whispered. "You saw it," he said. "No," I said quickly. "No, I didn't." Something tapped the underside of the mattress. Once. Then again. Slow. Deliberate. I grabbed him and pulled him off the bed. He wrapped his arms around my neck instantly, like he'd been waiting for it. The second his weight left the mattress, the bed lifted slightly, just enough to notice, like something underneath had pushed up. I backed toward the door, heart pounding so loud I could barely hear anything else. Then, a hand slid out from under the bed, pale, too long, fingers stretched just a little too far. It didn't grab, it didn't rush, it just rested there and twirled on the floor, like it knew we weren't fast enough. Tyler buried his face into my shoulder. "It doesn't like when people leave," he whispered. I didn't stop moving. Down the hallway, down the stairs, straight to the front door. The handle wouldn't turn. Locked. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely grip it. Behind me, something dragged across the floor upstairs. Slow, coming closer. I didn't look back. Coming closer. I didn't look back. I finally got the door open and ran into the rain with him in my arms. We stood there in the driveway, soaked in seconds, shaking. I called his parents, then 911. When the police came, they searched the house. They found nothing, no one, no signs of anyone being there, just a normal room, normal bed, nothing underneath it. But when they lifted the mattress, there were marks, deep impressions in the wood slats, like something had been gripping them from below, holding itself up, waiting. One of the officers asked Tyler, "How long has this been happening?" Tyler looked at him, then at me, then back toward the hallway, and said, "It doesn't come every night." The officer smiled. "Why not?" Tyler answered quietly, "Because sometimes it sleeps under my mom's bed." Be honest. Would you have looked under that bed? And what do you think was actually down there? This one happened on a night it was raining, not a storm, just steady rain. The kind where you can hear it on the roof and windows the entire time. I remember pulling into the driveway and noticing how quiet the street was. No cars passing, no people outside, just that rain and the house. It was newer, clean, nothing out of place. The porch light was on, and everything inside looked normal from the outside. The mom opened the door before I even knocked. She was already dressed to leave. The dad was behind her grabbing his keys. They were both in a hurry, but she kept glancing back into the house like she was listening for something. She told me their daughter was upstairs, already asleep. Easy job. Then right before she left, she said, "If you hear her crying, check on her right away." That stuck with me. Not if she wakes up, not if she calls you, just if you hear crying. Then they left, the door shut, and the house went quiet. No TV, no movement, just the rain, and a low hum from somewhere in the kitchen. I stood there for a second, listening. Everything looked normal. Living room was clean, lamp on, toys put away, nothing out of place. So I sat down. A few minutes passed, then I heard it. Crying. Upstairs, not loud, not panicked, just quiet, steady crying. I got up and went upstairs. The hallway was dim. Light from a nightlight was coming from the room at the end. I walked down and pushed the door open. She was sitting in bed, holding a stuffed animal, looking straight at the closet, not crying anymore, just staring. I asked her what was wrong. She said, she was talking again. I walked over to the closet, opened it, clothes hanging, shoes underneath, nothing else, no movement, no one there. So I closed it, told her she was okay, sat with her until she calmed down. After a minute or two, she laid back down and fell asleep. I left the room and went back downstairs. But now, the house felt different, still quiet, but heavier, like something had changed. I was standing in the kitchen when it happened again, crying, but this time, it wasn't coming from upstairs. It was coming from a baby monitor sitting on the counter. I didn't even notice it before. I picked it up. At first, it was just static. Then I heard her voice. She's under the bed now. That's when my stomach dropped. I ran upstairs. This time she wasn't laying down. She was standing on the bed, back against the wall, looking down at the floor beside her bed. I got down low and looked under. Nothing. Just darkness. Empty space. I checked the closet again. Bathroom. Corners of the room. Nothing. But she didn't move. Didn't look away from that spot. So I stayed with her until she calmed down again. Eventually, she laid back down and fell asleep. I took the monitor with me and went back downstairs. The rain was louder now. You could hear it hitting the house. I was standing in the kitchen when I heard something behind me. A soft click. I turned. The pantry door was open. I knew it wasn't before. I had just been in there. I walked over and opened it wider. There was a piece of paper taped to the inside of the door. It said, "Check the laundry room." I just stood there looking at it. Then I walked to the laundry room, flipped the light on. It flickered once, then stayed on. The washer door was open, and on the floor, there were wet footprints, small ones, like a child, and right next to them, larger ones, adult, leading further into the room. The monitor in my hand crackled. Then I heard her voice. "She's mad you looked." I ran upstairs again. She was back in bed, asleep, not moving. But the monitor was still making noise. Then I heard another voice. Not hers. A woman. Quiet. Close. "Come downstairs." I turned the monitor off immediately, grabbed her, ran to the front door. The handle wouldn't turn, locked. The chain was already set, and somewhere in the house, I heard someone laugh. Not loud, not crazy, just close. I locked us in the bathroom and called 911. While we were sitting there, she kept staring at the bottom of the door, watching the gap. I asked her what she saw. She said, "That's not her." Police got there within minutes. They searched the house. They found a woman hiding in the garage behind tarps. Someone who used to babysit there, someone who still had a key. But when they checked the laundry room, there was a wet dress on the floor. The parents said it didn't belong to their daughter. And when they listened to the monitor recording, there were two voices. So I'll ask you, if you saw that note in the pantry, would you have checked the laundry room or walked out right then? This one happened in a house that looked completely normal, middle of a quiet street, lights on in a few windows. Nothing about it stood out. I remember thinking it was going to be an easy night. The parents had 2 kids, twins, same age, same height, same room. They told me one thing before they left. "Emma's the easy one. Just keep an eye on Lily." They said it like a joke. It didn't feel like one. After they left, the house got quiet pretty fast. Not empty quiet, just still. You could hear small things. The fridge turning on, the floor settling, that kind of quiet. The twins were upstairs, same room, 2 small beds on opposite sides, a nightlight plugged into the wall between them. Soft glow. When I walked in, Emma was already laying down, facing the wall. Didn't say much. Lily was sitting up, watching me, didn't smile, didn't blink much either. Just watching. I asked them if they needed anything before bed. Emma shook her head. Lily didn't say anything, just kept staring. I turned off the main light and left the nightlight on, closed the door halfway, went downstairs. Everything felt normal for a while. I sat in the living room, TV on low, just enough to break the silence. Then I heard it. Footsteps upstairs, light, slow, back and forth. I muted the TV, listened. It stopped. I waited a few seconds, then went upstairs. The hallway was dim. Their door was open wider than I left it. I pushed it open. Emma was still in bed, same position, facing the wall. But Lily was standing in the middle of the room, looking at me. I asked her what she was doing out of bed. She said, "She told me to stand here." I looked over at Emma. She hadn't moved, still facing the wall. I told Lily to get back in bed. She did, slow, still watching me. I stayed there for a minute, waited until both of them were laying down. Then I left, closed the door again. went back downstairs. A few minutes later, I heard whispering, not loud, just enough to hear it through the ceiling. 2 voices. I stood up and listened. It sounded like they were talking to each other, but something about it felt off. The timing wasn't right, like one voice would stop and the other would answer too fast. I went back upstairs, opened the door. Emma was sitting up now, looking straight ahead. Lily was laying down, facing the wall. I asked them who was talking. Emma looked at me and said, "She doesn't like when you listen." I asked who. She didn't answer, just laid back down. I stood there for a second longer, then left again. This time I didn't close the door all the way. I went halfway down the stairs and stopped, listened. The whispering started again. Same pattern, back and forth. But now I could hear it clearer. One voice sounded like a kid. The other one didn't. I went back up fast and pushed the door open. Both beds were empty. That's the moment everything dropped. I stepped into the room, looked around. Closet door was closed, bathroom door open, empty. Then I heard it, from behind me, a whisper, right at ear level. "She's not the same at night." I turned around. Lily was standing in the doorway, right behind me, closer than she should have been. Emma was still inside the room, sitting on her bed, looking straight at me. I backed up slowly, asked Lily how she got behind me. She didn't answer, just smiled. Then she said, "That's not Emma." I looked back at the bed. Emma was still sitting there, not moving, not blinking. Then she spoke. But her voice didn't match her face. It was lower, flat. She wasn't supposed to notice. I grabbed Lily and moved toward the hallway. Emma didn't follow. She just watched, head tilted slightly, like she was trying to understand something. I took Lily downstairs with me, kept her right next to me. I didn't take my eyes off the stairs. A few minutes later, I heard slow footsteps coming from upstairs. Not running, not sneaking, just slow, deliberate. I called the parents, told them to come home. Didn't explain anything, just told them to come back. When they got there, I didn't even go back upstairs. I told them one of the girls was acting strange. The mom went up first, then the dad. A few seconds later, I heard the mom yell, "Lily, come here." I looked down. The girl next to me was already holding my arm. I looked at her, then back toward the stairs. And that's when I realized I never asked which one was which. So let me ask you, if you were in that house, how would you know which one to trust? All right, this one happened in a house that had a basement, and I remember that being the first thing the parents mentioned. Not in a weird way, just, if you need anything, it's downstairs. Normal. Nothing about it stood out at first. It was night when I got there. Not raining this time. Just quiet outside. The kind of quiet where you can hear everything inside the house more clearly. I knocked. The dad answered. He walked me in, showed me around real quick. Kitchen. Living room. Then he pointed toward a door near the hallway. "That goes to the basement," he said. Then he added, "You won't need to go down there." He said it casually, like it didn't matter, but it stuck with me. The mom came out with her purse, said their son was already asleep upstairs. Easy night. They left, the door shut, and the house went quiet. No TV, no background noise, just that low hum you hear in houses when everything is still. I stood there for a second, looked around. Everything seemed normal, clean, nothing out of place. So I sat down in the living room. A few minutes passed. Then I heard something, a soft thud, not upstairs, not outside, from below me, from the basement. I sat still and listened. Nothing. Then another sound, a slow scrape, like something moving across the floor. I looked toward the basement door. It was closed. I told myself it was just the house settling. Old pipes. Something like that. So I stayed where I was. A few more minutes passed. Then I heard it again. This time, closer to the door. A light knock. From the other side. Not loud. Just 2 taps. I stood up, walked toward the door, stopped right in front of it, listened. Nothing. I reached for the handle, then stopped, remembered what he said. "You won't need to go down there." I stepped back, went back to the couch, tried to ignore it. Then I heard something upstairs. Footsteps. I went up to check. The kid was still asleep. Didn't move. Didn't wake up. Everything was fine. So I went back downstairs. But the second I stepped off the last stair, I heard it again. Another knock. From the basement. This time louder. 3 taps. I walked over to the door again, stood there. Then I noticed something. The lock. It was on the outside. Locked. That didn't make sense. If it was just a normal basement, why would it be locked from up here? I leaned closer to the door, and that's when I heard it. Breathing. Slow. Right on the other side. I stepped back immediately. Didn't touch the handle, didn't say anything, just stood there listening. Then, a voice. Low. Calm. "Can you open the door?" I froze. It didn't sound like a kid. Didn't sound like the parents either. I backed away from the door. Slow, didn't turn my back to it. Just moved toward the living room. That's when I heard the handle move. From the inside. It didn't open, but it moved, like someone was trying it. I grabbed my phone, called the parents. No answer. I stayed on the line, waiting. Then I heard something else. Footsteps. Not upstairs, not outside. Inside the basement, moving toward the stairs, each step slow, heavy. Then, a hard knock, right against the door. I jumped back. The voice came again, closer this time, right behind the door. "Please, just open it." I didn't move, didn't answer. I grabbed my keys and went straight to the front door. Opened it, stepped outside, called 911. I stayed in the driveway until police got there. They went inside, checked the house. Then they opened the basement door. I stayed outside. Didn't go back in. A few minutes later, one of the officers came out. He asked me, "Did anyone tell you someone was down there?" I said no. He nodded, then said, "We found a room built into the wall." He didn't say anything else, just told me I did the right thing by not opening that door. So let me ask you, if you heard that voice on the other side, would you have opened it?